Hi, my name is Chase Ferguson. I'm a Master in History student at Liberty University. I'm going to be shooting a short video today discussing Betsy Ross, so a major figure in women's history in the American Revolutionary period. Having said that, I need to make mention of a particular thing when it comes to being a historian, specifically a Christian historian. It's very imperative that we as Christian historians make sure that we do thorough, thoughtful, and I think most importantly intentional research that does its very, very best to always be objective, open, and honest. Honesty is something that's key if you're going to be respected in the community and be taken seriously. And as champions for Christ, I think that's very important. But having said that, the topic of today's discussion is Betsy Ross. Betsy Ross lived from 1752 to 1836. She was a well-known person during this era. She had many friends in high places and things like that. According to Laurel Ulrich, who's a professor at Harvard University, she's a professor of history there. Her real name was actually Elizabeth Griscom, Elizabeth Griscom, and then she became Ross later when she married John. But having said that, she's most notable for having created the first American flag. While this is questionable, and in Ulrich's article that she's posted online, and she's published several books and things like that, we don't really know exactly what happened with Betsy and the flag. That's mostly an oral tradition passed on by a family member, and it cannot be confirmed nor denied completely, but there is no absolute empirical evidence other than oral tradition and history. So while it's nice to think of things the way that we learn them in grammar school and in grade school, it may or may not be true. But needless to say, she's still a very important lady, and she's a major figure in American history because of her contributions to that. Born in Philadelphia, and she was raised as a Quaker. She led a pretty simple life and learned to sew at a very young age. During her formative years, she did attend some formal school, and she became a pretty accomplished sewer. She learned from a family member. She learned how to sew and became pretty good at it. Eventually, after her formal schooling, she went on to become an apprenticed upholsterer, where she met her husband, John Ross. Needless to say, the Ross family had a few prominent political members in it, one member even being a signer of the Declaration of Independence. So this kind of got her started into her foray into politics and being concerned with matters of the American Revolution. So she and John actually attended church where then Colonel, soon to be General George Washington, and his wife Martha attended. And having said that, so she rubbed shoulders with some important people. Shortly thereafter, though, John would be killed in the war effort, and Betsy would go on to be remarried 2 more times over a long duration of period, and had many children. But needless to say, in the years during the war, she continuously was in support of it. I don't think she ever lost sight of that. She always supported the campaign by mending textiles and taking care of soldiers' uniforms and things like that, as well as loading paper cartridges and ammunition. According to Marla Miller's Betsy Ross in The Making of America, that was something big that she was able to do. She was able to help the soldiers, giving them faster reloads by making ammunition, keeping their clothing halfway fit for duty. That being something that she felt she could contribute to the cause. So she would always play a significant role and be in close proximity to a lot of prominent members, and eventually would end up going on to, after her third and final husband passed away, to reside in Philadelphia once again, where she was originally from. And one of her daughters took over her business in upholstery, and being a businesswoman herself, she finally retired and lived out the rest of her years there in Philadelphia, which you can go visit the Betsy Ross house today. Highly recommend it. Check it out. Maybe not all the stories of lust and lore are exactly 100% accurate when it comes to the creation of the American flag, but it's a nice thought, and it's definitely worth taking a look, and you can go see and put some hands on history. And I think that's definitely worth it for any person who's interested in seeing how women impacted the American Revolution, because there were several very key and important women who really changed the way that we look at America, and I think that we shouldn't forget them, and Betsy is definitely a major player. All right. Enjoyed this conversation I was able to have with you guys. Thanks. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Have a great day.